Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Midlands online worship service. My name is Sarah Clavet and I'm the worship associate for this morning's service. If you haven't already, please type into the chat box who you are and who you have brought with you today. Unitarian Universalism is a welcoming and inclusive religion. It encourages us to keep open hearts and minds because our own experience, conscience, and reason are the final authorities in religion. It affirms the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and that we are all connected to each other and to the earth. If you are visiting us today, a special welcome to you. We appreciate you spending some of your Sunday morning with us. If you have any questions, please let us know in the chat box, by phone, or through our Facebook page. If you've been attending for some time and have come to feel that this is your spiritual home and you are considering becoming a member of the fellowship, please contact our minister, Eric Severson, our office administrator, Wendy Altmeyer, or let us know of your interest in the chat box. If you have a chalice or candle at home and would like to join in our chalice lighting remotely, now would be a good time to get that ready. We will be including joys and sorrows this morning as we normally do during the service. You will want to find the participant or reactions area of your screen to raise your hand for that if you choose to participate. And we will move on now to announcements. You will see them on your screen. Next week's service on Beloved Community is on Sunday, February 28th at 10:30 a.m. It will draw on the writings of Dr. King, Toni Morrison, and others. We'll explore the functions of racism, the need for accountability, and the goal of beloved community. Our virtual choir will sing I Have a Dream. The service will be led by the Reverend Eric Severson. There is no virtual RE session today. Our next virtual RE session is Sunday, February 28th, led by Shana Barth. Please contact Maxine Getler if you have tested positive or have been vaccinated for COVID-19 and are willing to share that in confidence. A new printable staff, members, and friends directory is available. You can find the printable version of the directory on our password-protected members page. Contact Wendy for access, or if you check the directory and find that you have failed to update. Also, in our newsletter and on our Facebook Friends group is annual certification data sent to the UUA and resources for Black History Month. Make sure you check them out. If you would like to contribute to recovery efforts in Texas, a list of just a few of the many agencies will be available on our Facebook Friends group and at uufom.org/Texas. If you are interested in having your donations toward public radio bundled with others from UUFOM, contact Tim Wagner and send him a check before the end of the month. Our fellowship gets free advertising for these donations. If you are experiencing financial hardship due to these extraordinary times, please contact Reverend Eric at minister@uufom.org to ask about the minister's discretionary fund. Watch your email for more announcements in our Candle Flame newsletter. During the winter months, the newsletter will be circulated on Fridays. If you wish to submit an article, get it in by Wednesday at 5 p.m. It will be added to our newsletter. If you have any questions about any of these announcements, please email Wendy at office@uufom.org. If you have a candle or chalice at home and would like to light it now, please do so. And you can please join in reading our chalice lighting words today, titled That Which Abides by Martha Kirby Capo. Through the week this chalice abides, cupped and silent. Softly it gleams in a dimly lit room, complete unto itself. Today, we come together as a community of faith, joyful and free. Our individual energies combine to spark the flame of truth. May we each draw strength from the other, and, like the chalice, may we be bathed in the fire of commitment to social justice, equity, and peace. Now, Reverend Eric Severson will share our opening words.
Thank you, Sarah. Our opening words today are titled Ever in Our Midst by the Reverend Karen G. Johnston. Ancestors who spoke with bravest fire, lend us your senses, that we may know another world is on her way, breathed into life with our participation in her creation. Forebears who led the way where there was at first no way, lend us your persistence, your temerity, your assurance that the moral arc of the universe does indeed bend towards justice. Ones who went before us, sacrificing for a future not your own, help us to give of ourselves, that the common stones in our hands today might be cathedrals of compassion today, halls of restorative justice tomorrow, sheltering walls of beloved community the day after. It is Sunday morning, the day we gather. Let us be thankful and full of praise to be in the company of those who have come before, yet are ever in our midst.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Eric. With your mics muted, please join Sarah Niswaran in singing our opening hymn, Spirit of Truth, of Life, of Power. The words are by Horace Westwood and music by Lowell Mason.
Spirit of truth, of life, of power, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. Oh, bind our hearts this sacred hour, in faith and hope and charity. Spirit of truth, of life, of power, we bring ourselves as gifts to thee. Oh, bind our hearts this sacred hour, in faith and hope and charity.
And now Eric will share the children's time.
There's something on your face.
I have our time.
Eric, there's something on your face.
Hey, wait a minute. Shh.
Oh, but Eric, there's something on your face.
Eric, there's something on your face.
Our
Hey,
story
Eric,
today-
there's something on your face.
our story today-
on your face.
Eric, there's something on your face.
There's something on your face.
Thank you all. Let me back up to say that our story today, Something on My Face, Learning How to Be in Community, is by the Reverend Karen G. Johnston, adapted just a little bit for Zoom.
There's something on your face.
As you can hear, I've asked for some volunteers today to be human mirrors. One by one, they're going to say to me,
There's something on your face.
thank you. And after each one, I'm going to respond to what they have told me. So,
There's something on your face.
nope, I don't have anything on my face.
There's something on your face.
What are you talking about? You're wrong. I'm not going to listen to you.
Eric, there's something on your face.
Eric, there's something on your face.
Funny you should say that, because you are the one who has something on your face.
But Eric,
Something on your
there is
face.
something on your
There's
face.
something on your face.
You must be joking. I am an expert face washer. I have studied face washing for years.
There's
Well,
something on
there's
your
something
face.
on your face.
Eric, there's something on your face.
How dare you tell me I have something on my face? You don't get to play with me anymore.
Do it again.
Eric, there's something on your face.
How dare you tell me I have something on my face? I'm going to leave the game right now.
It's not only on your face, it's on your nose.
I have something on my face? What's wrong with me? I'm going back to bed.
Yeah, but there's something on your face.
Everybody has something on
There's
their
something
face.
on your face.
Everybody
your
has something on their face. So why mention it? There's nothing we can do about it. It's always going to be there.
There's something on your face.
I have something on my face? Thank you for telling me. I've been washing it away bit by bit, but I guess some of it is stickier than I thought. I really appreciate your letting me know. Would you be willing to help me wash my face? If so, pretend you're holding this spray bottle and help me wash my face, would you? Would you go, psh, psh, psh? Oh. Oh. That's better. Much better. Thank you. When we think about being in community together and what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist, which response did you think was the best one? Was it the first one when I said there was nothing on my face? Was it the one when I told you that you couldn't play with me anymore? Sometimes when we are building community together, it's important to listen to what other people have to say.
When you had something on your face.
I did. And thank you for helping me clean it off. So it's important to listen to what people have to say, even if we might not want to hear it at first. But we do that because it's part of our covenant, our promise to one another. These are times when we need to hear. There are times when we need to hear news or feedback that causes us discomfort. But in hearing it and responding to it constructively, with curiosity and humility, we can more easily go about building beloved community. This is especially true when it comes to feedback about how cultural privilege along race, gender, gender identity, disability, sexual orientation, class, how all those privileges impact others. This interactive story demonstrates the many ways that we might respond, some unskillful, and ending with the one that affirms our covenant with one another. Thank you for joining in our story today. And I invite you now to center yourselves and enter into a time of reflection, meditation, or prayer. Today's meditation is The Holy Work of Showing Up by the Reverend Ashley Horan. How is it with your soul? This is the question that John Wesley, Anglican priest and the founder of Methodism, was known to ask of participants in small reflection groups. I ask you because for me, this has been a hard week. So, beloveds, how is it with your souls? If your response to that question is anything like mine, I want to invite you to pause as you hear this. Take a deep breath. Say a prayer, sing a song, light your chalice. Feel the force of gravity pulling us all toward the same center. Whatever helps you feel more rooted and less alone. Now do it again. And again. And again. And once you feel that rootedness and connection, hear this. You are loved beyond belief. You are enough. You are precious. Your work and your life matter, and you are not alone. You are part of a we, a great cloud of witnesses, living and dead, who have insisted that this beautiful, broken world of ours is a blessing, worthy of both deep gratitude and fierce protection. Our ancestors and our descendants are beckoning us, compelling us onward toward greater connection, greater compassion, greater commitment to one another and to the earth. Together, we are resilient and resourceful enough to say yes to that call, to make it our life's work in 1,000 different ways, knowing that we can do no other than bind ourselves more tightly together, throw ourselves into the holy work of showing up again and again, to be part of building that world of which we dream, but which we have not yet seen. Blessed be. Sarah Clave will share our reading for today.
Thank you, Reverend Eric. Our reading today is Naming the Truth by Reverend Aisha Ansano. She begins with this quote by the Reverend Dr. Yolanda Pierce. Let us not value a false peace over a righteous justice. Let us not be afraid to sit with the ugliness, the messiness, and the pain that is life in community together. In 8th grade, my English class was encouraged to enter an essay contest put on by the North Carolina Bar Association. It was a 50th anniversary commemoration of Brown versus the Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, the 1954 Supreme Court decision that ruled that having separate but equal segregated schools was unconstitutional. The prompt invited us to consider how things were different between 1954 and 2004. I was pretty sure that what they wanted was an essay marveling at how much had changed, how much better life was today than it was in 1954. And even though a lot had changed since 1954, I couldn't write that essay. Instead, I wrote about the lunch tables at my extremely diverse middle school, which were segregated by race. A self-segregation, yes. There weren't laws or school rules preventing people from sitting anywhere in the cafeteria. But nonetheless, everyone sat in the same places with their friends of the same race. Social pressures and implications can hold as much weight as rules and laws, sometimes more. I wrote about how even though things had changed, they hadn't changed nearly as much as we would hope in 50 years. I wrote about how I hoped that in another 50 years, the change would be bigger, but that I was really worried it wouldn't be. Even though I knew it would make people uncomfortable, even when I knew it wasn't exactly what I was being invited to do, I named the truth as I perceived it because I didn't feel like there was any other option. I won 3rd place in that essay contest, and I'm not at all upset with that outcome. I would be proud of what I wrote, even if I hadn't placed at all. Writing that essay was about naming the truth as I had experienced it, even though it was uncomfortable, even though people might have preferred that I didn't. I might have done better in the contest if I had written the essay they wanted, but I wouldn't trade living my values for anything. Let's share now in an interlude, The Lark by Glinka, played for us today by Sarah Niswaran.
Thank you, Sarah. That was lovely. When was the last time a friend said to you, "There's something in your teeth," or "Your fly is open," or "You know, that thing you said, that joke, that meme you posted was racist, sexist, ageist, ableist"? I received 2 such uncomfortable truths about myself in the last few weeks. The first was that the word spook in a children's story might be taken by persons of color as a racial slur. Coming from a rather sheltered white culture, it had never occurred to me. I had not heard that word used in that way before. The second thing I learned was that clicking on the thumbs up icon too often while texting with others, without much accompanying or additional conversation, could be taken as dismissive. These are the kind of simple, easy to do things that we sometimes do, especially as members of the dominant culture, the institutionally racist patriarchy. We have the best of intentions, but we don't always understand the impact that our words and deeds have on other people. Some truths are difficult or uncomfortable for us because they often reflect a reality that was not our intent. And they are so instructive. We're always learning, aren't we? Look, another opportunity for growth. Just as I don't intend for there to be spinach stuck in my teeth or a smudge on my face, I don't intend to use a racial slur or to be dismissive. Discovering the impact that our words or deeds have had on other persons may surprise us, embarrass us, disappoint, sadden, or anger us. And how we respond can determine whether we stay in right relationship with people or not. What is right relations? You might say it's a sense of fellowship or an atmosphere of trust, respect, and cooperation. I'm reminded again of a piece of wisdom I heard from a counselor once. Would you rather be right or be in relationship? Meaning, I think, would you rather focus on yourself or on us? Let me expand this notion of uncomfortable truths from the personal to the national level. I did not check this with our Texans, Jan and Scott, for corroboration, but maybe they'll corroborate or dispute this in the chat. There is an uncomfortable truth that Texans need to face, which they have failed to do since electricity was first generated there in the 1880s. Residents of Texas are coping today with the tragic loss of power, loss of water, and loss of life caused by extremely cold weather. But that's not the half of it. The difficult and more complicated truth is that their misery is the result of decades of state and local officials making unwise and selfish choices. Over many, many years, they adopted isolationist energy policies, preventing cities from being tied into the larger national power grid. They refused the reasonable regulation of their fossil fuel industry. Decision makers thought of personal profit and power, and not of the greater good. Yes, this is an observation from a northerner's perspective. but one who has dealt with cold all his life. It would be easy to slide into wholesale judgment of all things Southern, which is why I very carefully reserve my judgment for Texas decision and policymakers. Texas has experienced extreme weather events for the past half century, and the catastrophic failure of their infrastructure today is just the latest in a series of such failures. State and local building codes and power generation equipment have never been consistently upgraded to withstand the cold snaps that seem to happen every decade or so. There is some willful ignorance and greed showing, stuck between their teeth. Being a relatively new Michigan resident, I'm aware of the Flint water crisis, and I wonder how our state and local decisions might continue to perpetuate hardship and misery here. There is still so much to learn. Let's approach difficult or uncomfortable truths from another angle. One of the sources of Unitarian Universalism's 7 guiding principles is the words and deeds of prophetic people, which challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. You may wonder what confronting powers and structures of evil looks like in our everyday lives. Well, that's a great question, because theologically and traditionally, Unitarian Universalism has been soft on the idea of evil. We tend to look on the bright side of life, to focus on people's goodness, inherent worth, and potential. We are such relativists in this area that we hesitate to even define evil. So if in our coffee hour chat rooms later today, if you would prefer not to discuss a difficult truth you have received, I invite you to try defining evil. That should get the conversation going. Here might be a thread for you to pull on. Like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, Unitarian Universalism is a covenantal faith. We are, as I said last week, held together by shared values and a mutually agreed upon promise. Not with God necessarily, but with one another. These Abrahamic traditions include many prophets, Prophets, Amos, Isaiah, Micah, Sarah, Miriam, and so on. People who exposed the evils of society and offered visions of hope and healing. Many of these prophets frequently named difficult truths. They proclaimed how God's people had strayed from their covenants. I wonder whom we might name today as modern day prophets. Who are the people calling us back to covenant? Religious folks like Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr., William Barber. Authors like Naomi Klein, Ibram Kendi, or Robin Kimmerer. Climate activists like Greta Thunberg. Poets like Amanda Gorman. So many important voices. I would put the authors of today's various readings in that prophetic category. All are women, all Unitarian Universalist ministers, and one a woman of color. The Reverend Aisha Ansano wrote about her experience with the prophetic act of naming truth in her youth. On the 50th anniversary of Brown v. Board of Education, she wrote not the essay that the North Carolina Bar Association was asking for, but the difficult, uncomfortable truth as she knew it. She wrote about the persistence of segregation in schools, about how things hadn't changed nearly as much as we would hope in 50 years. She wrote about how social pressures and implications can hold as much weight as laws and rules, and sometimes more. Even though I knew it would make people uncomfortable, even when I knew it wasn't exactly what I was being invited to do, I named the truth as I perceived it because it didn't feel like there was any other option. She was proud of what she had written, despite winning third place in the contest. Writing that essay, she said, was about naming the truth as I had experienced it, even though it was uncomfortable, even though people might have preferred that I didn't. I might have done better in the contest if I'd written the essay they wanted, but I would not trade living my values for anything. And that is such an important aspect of Unitarian Universalism. It asks that we live out our values. The Reverend Karen Johnston called us back to the covenant we have with past generations, with our literal and spiritual ancestors. Like generations before us, we draw strength from those who have gone before. They are ever in our midst, she wrote. We draw on their senses, their persistence, their assurance that the moral arc of the universe bends toward justice. We look to their examples of what it means to sacrifice for a future not our own. Like generations before, she suggested, we strive to build a better world for everyone. We seek to turn the common stones in our hands today into cathedrals of compassion, halls of restorative justice, and the sheltering walls of beloved community. The Reverend Ashley Horan in our meditation tied us to past and future generations. She pointed out that we exist as part of a great cloud of witnesses on which we might draw, quote, a cloud of witnesses living and dead who have insisted that this beautiful broken world of ours is a blessing worthy of both deep gratitude and fierce protection. Our ancestors and our descendants are beckoning us, she wrote, compelling us onward toward greater connection, greater compassion, greater commitment to one another and to the earth. She points out that together we are resilient and resourceful enough to say yes to that call, to make it our life's work in 1,000 different ways, knowing that we can do no other than bind ourselves more tightly together and throw ourselves into the holy work of showing up again and again. To be part of building that world of which we dream, but which we have not yet seen. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed our story today. A little bit of mud, some playfulness, some laughter, some great instructive feedback. What's not to like? As the Reverend Johnston wrote, sometimes when we are building community together, it's important to listen to what other people have to say, even if we might not want to hear it at first. But we do that because it's part of our covenant, our promise to each other. I would add that a really good covenant helps us be accountable to one another. When someone tells us an uncomfortable truth, we can respond in many ways. But Unitarian Universalism calls us to do our best to stay in relationship, to stay at the table and return to our shared promises, even knowing that sometimes this just isn't possible. This focus on our covenant, on our relationships, is key to living out our sixth principle, building community with justice for all. When you tell me you have something on your face, or I find that word offensive, or that icon dismissive, I can focus on me and my intent being misinterpreted or misunderstood. Or I can affirm our covenant by focusing on us and on the impact that my word or deed has had on you. I can say, thank you for telling me, I didn't know. Or, thank you. I've been working at it bit by bit, but I guess it's harder to change than I thought. I really appreciate you letting me know. And the piece I often forget to ask is, would you be willing to help me clean up my face, repair this breach of our covenant? This last question is very important because more than all the rest, it demonstrates our humility. But whether the person answers yes or no, the responsibility for making a change in ourselves or repairing our relationship is on us. We cannot shift the burden of such repair or self-improvement to those whom we have harmed. When we can hear and respond to uncomfortable truths constructively, wrote Reverend Johnston, with curiosity and humility, we can more easily go about building beloved community. And this is especially true, she said, when it comes to feedback about how our privilege of any kind impacts others. Difficult though it may be, let's receive that feedback with curiosity and humility. It has been said that discomfort is necessary for growth. I might rephrase that to say that recognizing how our behavior affects others and helping others do the same is one way to live out our third principle, showing acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. So how we respond to "there's something in your teeth" is important. May we respond with curiosity and humility, go more easily to build beloved community. May our hearts continue to rest in faith and hope and charity. In this joyful and free community of faith, bathed as we are in a commitment to justice, equity, and peace, may we continue to draw strength from and for past and future generations and one another. Blessed be, and amen.
Thank you, Reverend Eric. We affirm the work of this fellowship and its mission with our time, talent, and treasure. We continue to rely on you paying your pledges and providing what you would otherwise drop in the collection plate. Please give as generously as you can, and may what you give bring you joy. Thank you for your generosity. Let's share now in an offertory, O Wally Wally, an English folk tune played for us today by Sarah Niswaran. Thank you, Sarah. You may have recognized that as you listen to it as not Wally Wally, but a tune that has been adapted in our hymnal. Now, with your mics muted, please join Reverend Eric in singing our closing hymn, which is number 1048 in the Teal hymnal, Be Ours a Religion. The words are by Theodore Parker, and the music is by Thomas Benjamin, accompanied by Sarah Niswaran.
Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of
Thank you, Sarah. I so appreciate your creativity and artistry and your technical skills. Our closing words today are by the Reverend Annie Forster. As far as our love flows, as far as our hope grows, as far as our yearning goes, we are no farther one from another. Thank you to everyone who helped make this service possible today. Thank you all for joining us. We invite you to stay to chat if you can. It should be a good conversation. Whatever you may encounter in the coming week, please know that the love of this community goes with you. Until we're together again, many blessings. And now Wendy will share more information about supporting our fellowship and joining in our coffee hour chat.
Thank you, Reverend Eric.